Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Browns trade would move Myles Garrett to Cowboys for multiple first-rounders. The Cleveland Browns could look to trade some of their top players before the trade deadline on November 4 at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Currently 1-6 and in last place in the AFC North, the Browns need a miracle to make the playoffs. It remains uncertain who they'd be willing to trade, but if they want multiple first-round picks for the future, they could consider trading Myles Garrett. While picks would be intriguing, it's tough to imagine a scenario where any of the players the Browns would draft would be the player Garrett is. Nonetheless, in a proposed trade from Alex K. of Bleacher Report, the Browns would send Garrett to the Dallas Cowboys. Browns would receive 2025 first-round pick, 2026 first-round pick, 2025 third-round pick, 2026 third-round pick. Cowboys would receive Garrett in wake of their third consecutive 12-5 campaign that ended with an early playoff exit. The Dallas Cowboys surprisingly elected to run it back with largely the same cast as last year. That quiet offseason hasn't been paying off for the organization, which is now sitting at 3-3 and third place in a relatively weak NFC East. Although offensive woes are certainly at least partially responsible for this tepid start, the Cowboys are a meager number 12 in yardage and number 20 in scoring after finishing top 5 in both last season. The defense has taken an even larger step back in 2024. Heading into Week 8, Dallas has allowed 356.5 yards and 28 points per game, respectively ranking number 24 and number 31 in the league, K wrote on October 22. It's a massive shift from 2023 when the team conceded just 299.7 yards and 18.5 points per contest and rated in the top 5 for each category. Garrett, still only 28 years old, has arguably been the best player in the NFL throughout the past decade. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, and won the 2023 AP Defensive Player of the Year award. While he'd be an excellent fit for a team like the Dallas Cowboys, players of his caliber are often guys teams want to keep. Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated reported that the Cleveland Browns will get calls about trades. However, he doesn't think Garrett will get dealt. Speaking of trades, the Browns will get phone calls now, based on their 1-6 record and the fact that they just offloaded Cooper, Breer wrote on October 21. I don't think they'll move Myles Garrett, but some fishing has taken place. Anyone can call Denzel Ward or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. But guys such as Zadarius Smith or Jack Conklin would have value to others and could be more realistic targets. Despite struggling, the Dallas Cowboys are in a much better position than the Cleveland Browns. The Cowboys are 3-3 and are still very well alive in the playoff picture. Jerry Jones criticizes Cowboys' offensive scheme. Jerry Jones' frustration with the Cowboys' offense boiled over into public criticism of the team's scheme under head coach Mike McCarthy and offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. "We're designing bad plays, or we're designing bad concepts," Jones said, per Clarence Hill Jr. of All City DLLS. The Cowboys finished the 2023 season with the most points and 5th most yards in the league. Their offense has taken a significant step back this year, ranking 20th in points per game, 21.0, and 12th in yards per game, 336.5, with an anemic running game producing just 77.2 rushing yards per game and 2 total touchdowns, both dead last in the NFL. Dak Prescott is still 4th in the league with 267 passing yards per game, though his 6 interceptions are the 3rd most. However, the Cowboys have not been efficient through the air or on the ground, ranking in the bottom 11 in both EPA/pass and EPA/rush, per NextGen Stats, subscription required. That has especially been an issue in the red zone, where Dallas has converted just 6 touchdowns on 16 total trips, 37.5%, the second lowest rate in the league. McCarthy, of course, is the rare HC on a lame duck contact. Jones cited the wild card loss to the Packers as the reason why McCarthy is back without an extension. Bill Belichick rumors emerged at different points during the offseason, and this figures to be one of the teams the coaching legend turned omnipresent media figure monitors ahead of the 2025 coaching carousel. The Cowboys declined to add high-level playmakers in free agency or the draft this offseason, re-signing Ezekiel Elliott instead of pursuing Derrick Henry, who leads the league in rushing for the Ravens. Jones was asked about Henry on 105.3 The Fan and shot down any ideas that the All-Pro could have helped the Cowboys' offense. "Derrick is having a career year. I don't know if he'd be having a career year in our situation," said Jones, via the 33rd team's Ari Merev. "We don't run that type of offense at all." Jones also blamed the salary cap for his inability to offer Henry a competitive contract, though his $8 million per year average was only the fifth highest among running back free agent contracts signed this offseason. Dallas most recently suffered a 47-9 embarrassment at the hands of the Lions, who held the Cowboys to just 251 total yards and a measly 3.9 yards per play while committing 5 turnovers. They travel to San Francisco in Week 8 to play the 49ers on Sunday, where a win will be paramount to keeping up with the Commanders and the Eagles in the NFC East. Door swings wide open for Cowboys to trade for disgruntled star Wr. The Dallas Cowboys have a lot of problems right now, but it is eye-opening that a franchise legend like Troy Aikman came forward and blasted the offense. Aikman was specifically critical of the team's wide receivers, whom he believes run terrible routes and are lazy off the line of scrimmage. Aikman even called out CeeDee Lamb, who seemingly gives lackluster effort when he knows the ball isn't coming his way. While Lamb needs to improve that aspect of his game, opponents have thrown number 88 different looks in the name of limiting his impact. And it's worked. Whether it be cloud coverage, sending an extra defender in man coverage or cheating a safety over to him, Lamb has seen it all. Despite that, Dak Prescott has thrown into tight windows this season at an alarming rate. While Mike McCarthy's scheme is partly to blame, Prescott and the offense are desperate for another difference-maker at wide receiver. The upcoming trade deadline presents an opportunity for the front office to lend QB1 a helping hand. Luckily, there's a disgruntled wideout who is practically begging to be saved. Even though the Commanders played without rookie QB phenom Jaden Daniels for most of the game, they blew out Jhonson's Panthers 40-7 on Sunday. The loss dropped Carolina to 1-6, and Jhonson expressed frustration with the team's effort following the defeat. "Frustrated, but I can't play every position on the field and make every play," Jhonson said, via The Athletic's Joe Person. "Everybody's got to do their job when it comes down to it. Yeah, it's tough, but I just tell myself to keep going regardless." Jhonson hasn't officially requested a trade, but his displeasure is obvious. He caught one of 3 targets for 17 yards against a suspect Washington secondary. His talent is being wasted on the Panthers, who didn't score a point until the fourth quarter and mustered just 180 yards of offense in the game. Traded to Carolina in the offseason, Jhonson has been held under 30 receiving yards in 4 of 7 games. He has 21 catches for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns in the other 3 games, but it's virtually impossible for him to find consistency in a monotonous Panthers offense. With Carolina headed for a top pick in the 2025 draft and Jhonson slated to be a free agent, he feels like an obvious trade candidate before the November 5 deadline. Jhonson is the dynamic secondary pass catcher the Cowboys desperately need. He won't be cheap to re-sign, but paying 2 wide receivers has become the norm amongst the NFL's elite. It's time for Dallas front office to get with the times and stop asking Prescott to play hero ball every week. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Diontae Johnson? Leave your opinion in the comments.